Today, the Below Average Joe's MMA show presents the weekend recap. All centered around UFC Paris. Bonjour, mi amours. Let's go have some crumpets and see the Eiffel Tower. I don't know. There's not a whole lot going on besides that today. So, all this and maybe some more, and it all starts right now. Bonjour, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us for this recap edition of UFC Paris. We literally just got done watching the main event between Ciryl Gane and Tai Tuivasa. Me and Dominic both have some unexpected things coming up in our schedule, so we're going to go ahead and get this recording done in advance. Not a whole lot going on besides that, so this episode's literally all about this card.
Yeah.
So strap in, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully you watched, or else spoiler alert ahead.
Yeah.
But Dominic, how are you feeling? Are you ready to just get right on into it?
Yeah, I'm feeling great. The vibes are immaculate. No, I mean, I'm really feeling juiced. The Paris crowd delivered. The Paris card delivered. Their first time ever in Paris, France. Noah, I've got a damn croissant with me to start today's show. Let's get into the main event.
Dominic just can't help himself. He can't help himself but keep bringing food items into the show, bringing food takes into the show. I'm assuming if Dominic would have made a take about that croissant that he just flashed on the screen, the internet would have roasted him for it, and then I would have said a take that was much more reasonable.
Right.
So do you have any croissant takes that you'd like to get off your chest?
None that come to mind. Maybe at the end.
Okay, well, let's start with our main event of UFC Paris. Gentlemen, take a bow as Ciryl Gane gets the knockout of Tai Tuivasa in round 3 with only 37 seconds to spare in the round. Dominic, you know what? I'm going to actually give myself a pat on the back for this one. Yes, you do a show like this. We preview cards, we recap cards. We probably should be previewing fights correctly every once in a while. So maybe I shouldn't give myself a pat on the back whenever I do get a fight right. But I am going to give it myself one here because I don't get them right. So I said, despite the odds, that I thought, and this is kind of talking about the co-main too, I thought basically the way I viewed both fights, Marvin Vettori a bigger underdog than Tai Tuivasa. And that turned out to be true. I mean, you cannot tell me Ciryl Gane looked like a minus 600 favorite here. He did not. Tai Tuivasa was game. He brought it to Ciryl Gane. Ciryl Gane looked great. This is not a knock on Ciryl Gane. But I think it just shows that Tai Tuivasa made a much better account of himself. This was an exceptional fight, but one that Ciryl Gane could not just coast through. He had to get dirty. He had to dig deep to get this victory, Dominic. I'm curious what your thoughts were while watching the fight.
Man, Ciryl Gane just gets into a flow state so quickly, and it's very hard to get him out of it, but that's what Tai did. Ciryl Gane literally just said in the post-fight interview that he was knocked out and then woke back up when he hit the cage back down. So, you know, I said it in the group chat. He took one punch that kept him from that Masterclass type of
I completely
label.
disagree with this take, but I'm going to let you finish.
Yeah, so Tai really didn't do much, in my opinion, outside of that one shot that knocked Ciryl Gane down. And as the fight went on, it just got worse and worse. The body work from Ciryl was disgusting. The jab was lightning quick. The head kick feints with the body feints to the head. I mean, it was incredible, but that is what Ciryl Gane does. That's the way that he fights. Tai Tuivasa is the toughest heavyweight in the division. The motherfucker is made of steel. Don't let his physical presence kind of sway you any other way, because underneath of that is nothing but pure iron and sex appeal. So what a fight. That was definitely front of mind, best heavyweight fight of the year, best heavyweight fight in my recent memory. It was unbelievable. The crowd was going insane. Couldn't have asked for anything more. It exceeded all expectations that I had, I think. Yes, it did.
basically, I think we're in pretty big disagreement on this fight because Masterclass, I couldn't be further from what I saw for rounds 1 and 2. Obviously, once the body work took its toll at the end of round 2 and then round 3, Ciryl Gane looked terrific. And not that he didn't look good early, but round 1 was a feeling out round. No Masterclass there. Round 2, I mean, pretty sure that's a pretty close round right there. I mean, Tai Tuivasa did knock down Ciryl Gane. Yes, I know I'm giving a lot of credit to what you're calling the one punch that sort of prevented him from having that kind of performance. But I thought Ciryl Gane did enough to get the first round, and he was doing enough in round 2 to have it in his favor. But this is nothing like what Whittaker was doing to Vettori. This was doing enough to get by. He had a lead, but it was nothing more than a lead. This was not running laps around your opponent until, of course, round 3 was, I mean, that was all Ciryl Gane, one-way traffic. He had Tai Tuivasa on the ropes and did not let up. But Tai Tuivasa was looking for that shot. He found that shot. I think Ciryl Gane was getting a little too comfortable. He started doing a little bit of dancing, he was acting a little bit like Muhammad Ali in there. You know, he was doing a little shoulder shrug. He's kind of faking, doing some robot shit. And then he got cracked.
Real.
It happens. I mean, it's heavyweights. This is what I kind of said in the preview. So that's why I just don't think this is even close to a masterclass. Like, not even close. I mean, I think that's like the furthest thing from my brain. I think Tai Tuivasa, yes, the knockdown and nearly finishing that fight, that's sort of what he's getting credit for in this fight. And, of course, the durability, the heart, the chin. Even when those body shots started to land, Tai was throwing some crazy haymakers that were kind of landing and sort of hurting or stumbling Gane again. But I get what you're saying. There's a lot of credit to be given for what was sort of set up under one punch, but I think both guys were looking for the big shot. I mean, Ciryl Gane, in my opinion, was not doing enough to constitute a dominating performance. It was, I mean, really both guys were sort of feeling out the process. I'm curious what your rebuttal is to that.
Yeah, what you really saw in this fight was that when Gane was doing what he wanted to do, it was coming to him with ease. When you would see that movement, the just very casual, laid back, pick his shot. But when Tai would really try and bring it in tight, make it a brawl, that's when you saw Gane out of his comfort zone. That is when he got caught with that shot. That is when he would take the most shots in this fight. So it's just like, again, and we talked about it on Thursday, Tai is so much better than what people give him to be. You know what I mean? Like, he's so much more than just a power puncher, but it's clear when he lands, it hurts. That shot didn't even like flush hit the jaw. It was like right on the middle of Gane's face, and it knocked him down. I mean, this dude, Tai Tuivasa, carries next level power, and for that reason, he's always going to be a threat. It's still crazy to me that he got to this position to fight, and if he won, get a title shot off of this. And I don't think that this loss really puts him back all that far either. It's just, that was kind of how the fight played out. It was like 2 fights into one. When it was in this area, Tai had success. When it was in the other, Gane pulled away largely, and that's just where it happened to be for more of the fight. But wow, and to do that too, by the way, with Francis Ngannou sitting front and center for both guys, that is, I think is a pretty nice statement.
So do you feel like is your statement of calling it a masterclass, is that based on the second half of the fight, or is that, because I think the first half of the fight's nowhere near a masterclass.
I mean, again, like you said, not much happened in the first round, but I didn't feel like Tai did anything. Second round, obviously the knockdown was a huge moment in that fight, but Ciryl bounced back very well and dominated the ending of the second round, and it just carried into that third. So I just feel like the larger chunk of the fight swayed me to that masterclass statement. But again, it's all encompassing. I can't call it that, because if you're getting knocked down in a fight, I can't give you that. It's like going from an A+ to an A-.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough because really I felt like we were on our way to what Ciryl Gane has sort of done in most of his main event performances, where he's gotten into that flow state and he sort of just coasted to a victory. The Volkov fight, the Rosenstruik fight, he sort of finds that comfortable distance to where he can do enough without taking big shots, and he just stays there for 5 rounds. He doesn't get anxious or anything. He just flows.
Yeah.
But Tai Tuivasa had other ideas, obviously.
He did what none of those other guys could do.
Yeah.
But on
I think that's a
paper,
credit.
you would think that he wouldn't be able
And
to.
And I think that's a credit, even if at the end of the day, when you really look at what Tai accomplished in this fight, it's sort of set to a few punches and a set amount of that second round. That's more than we've really seen most guys be able to do with Ciryl Gane. And I think that's a testament to how talented Tai Tuivasa is. I was sitting there when I watched him get dropped, Ciryl Gane. It flashed in my head I thought I had to accept the idea that Tai Tuivasa was going to fight John Jones next. I was like, this is just, what a world, right?
Tai
what a world.
continues to do it, yeah.
And obviously that didn't end up happening. And maybe instead of focusing, I guess, on what we talked about in the first half about this whole Masterclass debate, I mean, at the end of the day, these two put on a hell of a show. The first time the UFC being in Paris, I think the Paris crowd was awesome.
Oh, man.
I thought they were on fire all night, as expected. This had a little bit of shades of that London card back in March.
Yeah.
And to get a main event that was able to, I guess, cash in on and give the crowd what they wanted, what more could you ask for?
Yeah, exactly. You literally could have said it any better. And before, I guess, we do transfer to like what is next, I have to add one more thing about this fight, and it's that going back to, again, giving Tai credit again, is that when Ciryl Gane fought Francis Ngannou, who was winning that fight on the feet the whole time? Ciryl Gane. Ciryl Gane hardly even got hit by Francis Ngannou.
Yeah.
Tai Tuivasa did to Ciryl Gane what Francis Ngannou couldn't do.
He did have a knee injury, but yes, I agree. I'm not trying to make excuses. I'm just,
crazy scenes.
Yeah, and I'm glad that you are, giving him giving him his flowers here, as I have a word vomit trying to get out that word. I mean, what the hell's going on here, guys? Guys, this is my Jordan flu game here.
Yeah.
Allergy season is upon us. I mean, the pollen out there. Have you guys seen the pollen levels? They're at all-time highs. My nose spray ain't doing shit.
The nose spray.
I got to hear Dominic bitching at me about my nose spray. But the vibes are immaculate right now. Let's talk about what's next for these two.
Yeah.
Specifically, Ciryl Gane. We kind of talked about it a little bit on Thursday, but ultimately, not a lot's been answered, in my opinion. Despite, we saw the fight, so that gives us a little bit of clarity, but the big moving pieces on this chess or checkerboard are still in place.
Yep.
And that's John Jones, Stipe, and Ngannou.
Yeah.
Where do they fall in line here? So Dominic, as the fight has now completed, where does Ciryl Gane sort of fall in on this hierarchy at heavyweight?
I mean, dude, I gave it a little sprinkle, a little hint on Thursday, and I have to come and say it now because, listen, I love Stipe Miocic, but I need a yes or a no. I need an in or an out because if you're out, Stipe, I love you. You're on my wall. Ciryl Gane, John Jones. Assuming Francis isn't ready until next year, which that's what they're saying as of this week. There may not be, let me think, what else happened in the rest of the year so far? Yeah, there may not be a more high-level mixed martial arts fight that can be made than Ciryl Gane versus John Jones. And we don't like interim belts. We don't like them.
No.
So I don't need it. I just want
Get
that
him
fight.
out of here.
I just want that fight. Welcome John Jones to the heavyweight division. And if Ciryl Gane beats John Jones, that's a rematch earning performance if I've ever seen one to fight Francis. I mean, that is the fight, assuming Francis isn't ready until next spring. Come on.
I have a take that built, or that I realized I have as it built during the fight. again, this was kind of the thought crossing my head when I thought Tuivasa was about to knock out Ciryl Gane. But I feel the same way now that Ciryl Gane finished the fight, got it done. It was a nasty win, the body work. I mean, then when he started mixing it up, going to the head, I mean, that was awesome.
Yeah.
I think I can comfortably say, again, me and you, we're ride or die Stipe guys.
Yeah, I know.
Like, if Stipe comes back and fights John Jones, like, don't get me wrong, I'm going to be excited, him getting that opportunity. But 2 years ago now, when we talked about this fight, I said I didn't love Stipe's chances.
I'm sure it hasn't aged any better, right?
It has not aged better 2 years later, and I think I can finally say that no matter who won that fight, especially with the way the fight went, I think I would rather see John Jones fight either of those two guys than Stipe at this point.
Yeah, I'm definitely with you there, partner.
Because as big of a fight as Stipe John Jones is in terms of legacy,
right?
I think the time has passed, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. Don't get me wrong. Again, you still do it going into the fight. You still have the build-up being GOAT status and all this stuff. Best heavyweight of all time versus the best fighter of all time. You know, this is all still in play.
Yeah.
But I just worry that if the fight does happen, what are we really going to learn from it? Stipe is really not appeared to be all that committed to the fight game anymore. John Jones hasn't fought in 2.5 years in a new weight class. Again, what are we really going to learn from this fight? A lot, but I don't think what we want to learn, which is who's the best fighter of all time, who's the best heavyweight of all time, whatever, is going to actually be answered in that fight. I think it's just going to ask more questions than it does answers.
Well, I think that statement there goes back to a conversation we've had before about John and Stipe, and we said, if I remember correctly, paraphrasing, Stipe, we've seen it all. He's got all these accolades, best heavyweight ever, right? For now, with his title defenses and whatnot, title fight wins. So, anything else for him is gravy. Like, yeah, if he beats John Jones, it's huge. It sends him up the totem pole. But like, if he loses, it's like, he's still the best heavyweight ever. But for John, even though he's considered by many as the best of all time, he's not viewed at that point yet. There's more to be seen from John. We've been wanting to see him at heavyweight for a long time. Can he get that belt? Can he defend that belt? So that's kind of where I view it. And again, it goes to what Noah said. It doesn't feel needed when a fight with John and Francis or John and Ciryl is just right now, present day, with the state of the division and the future of the division, is so much more prominent and so much more impactful,
I think that's very well said, and I think that's a good way to move on to our co-main event, which saw Robert the Reaper Whittaker put on a masterclass. Now
this one's not in disagreement.
No disagreement here. An absolute masterclass by Robert Whittaker. He gets it done via unanimous decision. Thank you very much. 3 units for the Blue Average Jones blood slip.
Yes.
Over Marvin Vettori. Dominic, did it go how you expected? Did you think Marvin Vettori might show us a little bit more? Or is Robert Whittaker just that damn good?
Dude, and again, I'm going back to our text message group because the world doesn't see the text messages, so I got to bring them into here. It's clear. Featherweight and middleweight, 2 peas in a pod. Because there's Israel Adesanya, there's Alexander Volkanovski, right? The champions, the kings of their throne. There's Bobby Knuckles, Robert Whittaker, and there's Max Holloway. There's a clear number 1, there's a clear number 2, and there is a large gap from everybody else. And it shows again here, Robert Whittaker puts on a shutout performance over Marvin Vettori. Marvin could not do anything. Marvin was getting hurt. Robert looked more powerful than what we've seen in a long time. He's so quick. The combinations, the jab, the oblique kicks. He just continues to get better. Totally forgot that he's only 31 years old. Even more similar to Max Holloway because they've got so many damn fights and so many great performances. But again, he gets this great win. He gets this master class. But it doesn't put him closer to a title fight, Noah.
That is correct. It does not. Now, there has been a lot of interesting comments made by Robert Whittaker in the lead up to this fight.
Yeah.
As I'm about to cough, I want you to get your thoughts on him potentially moving to light heavyweight.
All right. So, the light heavyweight thing was definitely a soundbite that I did not expect coming into Thursday. We kind of vaguely kind of scored over it a little bit. Man, Robert Whittaker does not look like a light heavyweight. This is a guy that fought at welterweight to start his UFC career. Now he's at middleweight, but then when you look at him against the middleweight champion, he's not all that big for 185. So, I mean, Marvin Vettori looked a lot bigger than him too, at least build-wise. They're the same height, but Vettori looked a lot thicker. You know what I'm saying? So, I don't know how Bobby Knuckles fares at light heavyweight. I'm not opposed to him giving it a try if he feels like he doesn't have much in the near future at middleweight. I understand it, but I don't want him to make this move up 20 pounds just because he just feels in lingo. Like, I don't want him to sacrifice success, because what if he's going to be outsized by every light heavyweight there is, pretty significantly, by the way. So I don't know. He's in a very hard spot. Honestly, maybe even a harder spot than what Max Holloway is, because if Max wants to go up a weight class, it's 10 pounds. Robert Whittaker has to go up 20 pounds. No, it's just such a big, drastic change. I don't know if I can sign off on it.
Yeah, it's different when you have the lower weight classes, though, because Max going from 145 to 155 feels very similar to the kind of jump in terms of body type of these fighters, the difference in size that Robert Whittaker would be facing going up 20 pounds to light heavyweight, because Max looked undersized at lightweight. I think he's going to be undersized if he goes back there, and that's something that he specifically, I think he actually still is going to struggle more, just because part of his success at 145 is the size and length that he possesses. Robert Whittaker never really depended on that as a middleweight, but that's because he already wasn't a very big middleweight.
Yeah.
I think it's not going to work. Him going to light heavyweight. I'm just being honest. Yeah. Sure, he'll have a speed advantage, but the last man he finished was Jacare Souza at middleweight, and that was 5 years ago.
Yeah.
You know, that's just going to make it even harder for him, his sort of power to really hold up at 205 pounds. And let's not forget that he has been cracked a few times. He doesn't have necessarily like a Marvin Vettori type chin to withstand just the heaviest of blows. Adesanya knocked him out. Cannonier gave him a really good showing in the round 3 of their fight. Yoel Romero's cracked him a couple times.
Yep.
I don't think it's going to work. Actually, if you would have told me one of these two guys made these comments, I would have thought it'd be Marvin Vettori.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Marvin Vettori's much more bigger. His biggest issue is he's got short arms.
Yeah.
So I think he would still struggle. I don't think either one of these guys does very well at light heavyweight. But if Marvin Vettori, who's the much bigger man, a guy who comes into the cage weighing almost 220 pounds sometimes, he would at least make sense as a guy that would transition to light heavyweight. For Robert Whittaker, I don't know how much I really buy it. I don't know how much he's just talking to talk to see how people respond.
Yeah.
If anything, here's a crazier thought. I would have guessed he would be more open to going back down than going up.
Yeah.
Because, again, I don't necessarily want to see it. He's in a tough spot, but he's got his win back now. Okay, so he got a win over Marvin Vettori. What kind of fights next? Well, Paulo Costa called out the winner of this fight. So if he were to face Paulo Costa, that's a very winnable fight for him, considering how Paulo looked against Luke Rockhold.
Yeah.
And after that, who knows? I mean, and plus let's not forget Pereira may knock out or beat Izzy here in November. So a lot can change. And I think for him to commit to something like that would be a bit of a short-term, short-sighted move when anything can happen. And I still think he's in line for like a third title fight, just like a Max got with Volk. Again, Max feels like a guy who definitely needs to kind of decide what's his future look like right now. Like, are you making the commitment to go up, Or are you going to stay put and be competing for silver the rest of your career? That's really what he's looking at right now. And I don't think Robert Whittaker is quite in that dire of circumstance yet.
Yeah, and I actually I didn't know Paulo did that, but it makes so much sense because he's coming off of a win now. That's a fresh matchup. They've been scheduled to fight before. Why not do that?
It's one of the last fresh matchups in this top 10 for
it's crazy.
Robert Whittaker. Another matchup that would be interesting would have been if, like, Sean Strickland hadn't had to pull out and he got a win over Cannonier. That would have been a great fight.
For sure.
I don't know if you give Strickland that fight now that he's got this finger surgery and is coming off that knockout loss to Pereira. I don't know if you necessarily do that, but I wouldn't mind seeing a build-up for a Strickland-Whittaker fight just because they're polar opposites in terms of personalities. So
yeah.
Be interesting. We get just more fights here, so let's get into the rest.
Yeah, the banner stays on.
I do want to take this time to remind everyone about PointsBet Sportsbook. They are the betting partner of the Below Average Joe's MMA show, and they have a great offer that you can use right now. So college football is going on. I know this is coming out on Sunday, so a lot of the games have passed, but Florida State LSU is tonight. Monday night, you got Clemson, Georgia Tech, and then NFL season right around the corner. Oh, and next Saturday is also UFC 279, Hamzat versus Diaz. Lots of sports. I mean, MLB playoffs coming up. Ohio, a lot of our viewers from Ohio. You guys got betting coming right around the corner. So this is the offer that PointsBet Sportsbook can give you right now. So right now, if you go to the link in the bio or in the description of today's episode or in the bios of our Below Average Joe's Twitter or Instagram, which you can follow at the BAJ MMA.
Yes.
Or if you download the PointsBet Sportsbook app and type in code MMA Joe's, you on your initial deposit will get a match 100% up to $2,000.
Woo!
This is free money we're talking about here, people.
Come on.
So on your initial deposit, you put in $1,000, you're getting a free $1,000 to start with. I mean, there's no reason not to do it.
Basically.
So make sure to check that out. Again, you can do that by either link today's episode or in the bios on Instagram, Twitter. Don't have to put in a code. It just takes you straight. Code's already put in. You just go straight through the sign-up process there. Or if you download the PointsBet Sportsbook app and type in code MMA Joe's at sign-up, you get it that way as well. So happy betting.
Yes.
It's been a great betting weekend for us. Hopefully it keeps up for me with college football, but I digress. Nassourdine Imavov and Joaquin Buckley, Dom.
Wow.
So they had a pretty interesting fight here. Imavov, of course, ranked number 12, I believe, in the middleweight division. Joaquin Buckley, been on a good run, looking to make a splash here. Comes up short to unanimous decision loss to Imavov. But what kind of takeaways did you have for this fight?
First off, size. I couldn't stop thinking of the size, man. Nassourdine looked like a monster in there compared to Joaquin Buckley. Don't get me wrong, Joaquin's got a very wide back, very thick and muscular, but Nassourdine just looks so much heavier, so much bigger, longer, rangier.
Did you call him thick?
I did call him thick.
With two C's?
With two C's. Obviously rounds 1 and 2, all Nassourdine all the time, for 10 straight minutes. But Joaquin Buckley had that dog in him for the third round. No, he came out, in my opinion, won the round. He was swanging, he was banging, and he was going for the headshot. He was trying to put Imavov out of there. He was not able to do so, but you could tell he was wearing on Nassourdine. Nassourdine was getting a little tired. A lot of people probably thought going in that Joaquin would be the one slowing down in round 3. It was the opposite. Not that it was the cleanest striking, but you can't, slide a guy for going for the finish when he needs one.
Yeah.
But yeah, Nassourdine gets a win. That's 4 in a row for him. He could arguably be 5-0, but the fight with Phil Halls is super forgettable, so let's not even talk about that one. He's got to get top 10 next for sure. Maybe even approach like a top 8. Joaquin Buckley, Noah put it best in the tweet. Put on a good enough performance to fight another top 15 guy. Noah, explain.
Yeah, I mean, Imavov deserves top 10 next. No question about it. He's been underrated for a long time. Hopefully, with the win on a big card like this, good fight with Buckley, Hopefully he finally gets some respect. I mean, this dude finished Edmund Shabazi and looked great in that fight.
Yeah.
He's looked really good.
Yeah.
Outside of, I guess, the Phil Hall's fight. That was just a weird one. But, Joaquin Buckley. So I know he has been a bit of a pariah in the MMA community at times. Again, I talked about this on Thursday. He's been getting clowned a little bit. You know, the whole Hamzat Darren Till video. Joaquin's trying to get a fight with Darren. Maybe a lack of self-awareness, coming from Joaquin Buckley. Can't hate a guy for trying, but then Hamzat says, "Who's that guy?"
It was not good.
It was a bit of like, it's like Jeremy Stevens going after Conor at the 205 press conference. It's like, you can't hate the guy for trying, but boy, you got more than you asked for, didn't you?
Yeah.
So, but in terms of what I've seen in the octagon, I understand Joaquin Buckley's biggest claim to fame, his biggest moment is the knockout of the year, 2020. The freaking, spinning head kick to Impa Kazaganai. I get it. It's one of the best knockouts ever in all of MMA. But the fighter that Joaquin Buckley is today is twice that guy that knocked out Impa Kazaganai.
Yeah.
He's still got that explosiveness, that big... I was about to say big play potential, but
that's what it is.
But he's got that one shot type power.
Yeah.
But he doesn't depend on it like I felt like he was doing back then. And he did have some success with it. He knocked out Jourdain Wright, but then head kicked by Alessio Di Chirico. Since then, feel like he's really honed it in and focused on improving on the X's and O's, getting a little more technical in the striking. By no means is he, I don't know what the word is. No, by no means an expert. He's by no means is he one of the best technically skilled fighters in the company. But he's made a lot of improvements. A lot of improvements
quickly
to the point where he's not that guy that has to get the one shot to really win a fight. He has proven, even in matchups that I thought were impossible to go to distance, like Abdul Razak Al Hassan. That fight went the distance. Buckley looked very good in that, very content with going the distance. And that's another thing. I think his cardio's improved a lot. He can go to full 15 here with Imavov, like you were saying. I feel like Buckley could have went 25.
Yeah.
I mean, I would like to see him get another crack at top 15. Imavov's a tough draw when you're really trying to make that splash in. He made a good showing of himself. Why not give him a guy like a Brad Tavares or someone who's really kind of barely hanging on to that spot and see if he can dethrone somebody and jump in?
Yeah, dare I say him and Drickus may be a banger? I don't know.
That'd be a fun fight too.
Yeah, deserves it.
Next one, Nathaniel Wood and Ciryl Gane had a very fun fight as well. Nathaniel Wood gets the unanimous decision win. Ciryl Jourdain's got to be the best fighter in the UFC that has an under 500 record now, doesn't he? I hate to even say it. Like, I almost don't want to say it. I almost want to, bury that.
Yeah.
And hope nobody ever notices. But he is 4-5 in the UFC at this point, and it's a shame. I think he's got a lot of tough draws.
He has.
But at the same time, you just have to kind of win your fights after a while. And Nathaniel Wood, the takedowns came easy. That was kind of my big takeaway was I didn't feel like Jourdain, coming off a fight against Burgos where he had his back taken in 2 different rounds. I felt like you would hear him making a big effort to keep a fight standing. And I thought he was very just laissez-faire about giving up the takedowns, just kind of almost was more focused on trying to roll them over to where he would be on top, but it just never had quite the kinetic force to do that. I don't know why I'm using that terminology now, but Daniel Wood looked very good. This is a big step up. He's going from Charles Rosa to Ciryl Jourdain. That's a big step in my opinion, and he looked very good. This was a good fight. I thought it's one of those fights where I hate that either guy has to lose because really both needed the win. Jourdain now falls to 4-5, but I still think that both these guys have bigger fights ahead. That's what I would say.
100%. They're both still so young. They're approaching their prime. And again, I probably said this in July, but I'm going to say it again. If you forgot about Nathaniel Wood during his 2-year layoff, He's came back in a big way with 2 straight wins, both at 145, because his fight in July against Rosa was his debut at that weight class. He looks good. He still was smaller than Jourdain, but this dude's a legit talent out of the UK as well. That market's just booming right now, and it continues to show.
Last one. These Magomedovs know how to fight, don't they?
Holy shit.
Is it pronounced a bus?
A bus?
Is it like you take the A out, put a space in it, it's just a bus?
A bus.
A bus Magomedov?
Yeah.
Well, he hits like a bus because he knocked out Dustin Stoltzfus in 19 seconds. I mean, just made him suck on the big toe, and it was all over.
What did he say?
Yeah, this was the number 2 fighter out of Germany in Dustin versus the number 1 fighter out of Germany in Abus Magomedov. Interesting that he fights out of Germany. But to get a win in 19 seconds like that, I mean, this guy had a lot of height, been in the PFL before, went 1-1-1 in his time in the PFL. He's finished 20 out of 25 wins. Dude's a wrecking ball. He's a problem. And 185 needs guys like this. I love it because it's getting stale, but it's getting some fresh life lately.
Yeah, he's already calling out the champion Adesanya.
Well, but hey, it didn't take Alex very long to get up there, so I shouldn't hate on the guy too much, I suppose.
I appreciate Dom's professionalism, not allowing himself to acknowledge I said that Abus made him suck on the big toe. So I'm glad that you completely no-sold it. It was fantastic. I was like, Dom wants to keep it professional, that's fine. Just wait till we get to closing the statements, motherfucker. There ain't nothing professional about closing statements.
Woo.
No, but it was a great performance. Magomedovs, they know how to fight. If you see the cauliflower ear, run the other way. Simple things.
Get that guy back quick. That's all I want.
Yeah, by the way, Dustin Stoltzfus, man, that's a tough loss. It's probably the last you'll see of him in the UFC for now. This is the guy who beat Joe Pyfer last season in the Contender Series. And now Joe Pyfer's like,
he fights in a couple weeks.
Who you go to when on this season after Dana basically enshrined him as being like the guy this season. Yeah. Just shows with those Contender Series guys, man, you just never know.
I think he's 0-3 in the UFC now.
He had a win last time out against I'm not gonna remember who it was, but I think he's 1-4 now.
Okay.
Or 1-3, so it's something like that. Dwight Grant, that's who it was.
Oh yeah. You had money on that fight. I remember.
I did. That's right. Let's move on to closing statements, but first I do want to the below average bet slip. I do want to take this time to remind everyone to follow us on our social media. I already kind of plugged it earlier, but you can follow the show on Twitter or Instagram at the Bajma, the BAJ MMA. You can follow Dominic on Twitter or Instagram at Diesely14. You can follow myself on Twitter or Instagram at the improved.
Oh, yeah.
At Noah Todd Baker. Mm-hmm. So if you guys want to see our picks in advance, we post those on the show's Twitter and Instagram on Friday. But Dominic, what a week it was for us. We've been talking about this for a while. Like, me and Dominic had just never been able to be in sync on a single week.
Yep.
Me and Dominic have both had big weeks here and there across the year so far, but we've never been able to hit big together. We've only had a few weeks where we both have been positive together at all.
Yeah.
So for us to come together, only one missed bet combined, which of course was mine, who's doing worse.
That's all right.
I needed that. But anyways, we're gonna focus on the positives here. Nearly plus over 9 units.
Oh man!
I mean, just cutting that negative over in half. So
it's great.
Dominic, anything that stuck out to you?
A whole lot of green, Noah. It just feels so good to be in sync, like you were saying, and I just want that to be more of a common thing. We continue to try and bet smarter. Sometimes it's just fucking hard out here, man. This is the hardest sport to bet on. This week, what stood out to me, I'm gonna say I took a chance on Khalid Taha and Christian Quinones inside the distance, plus 142. I was kind of surprised. I get it. Guys have been to decisions lately, but if you look at the history of their records, they do get finished or finish a lot. And I just felt like with the way of the styles, Taha, a veteran, Quinones, I think was debuting or relatively new to the UFC. Something just had to give in this fight. And although it wasn't Khalid, which would have made it a perfect week, which that's our next big accomplishment. But anyway, it was a good fight. It was technical, but Quinones landed that right hand, and oof. I mean, it was just nearly lights out. Some would say it was an early stoppage. I may even say it was a bit early, even though I cashed a bet on it. But plus 142, and no, I'm just going to segue that because every plus money bet hit, and that goes a long way in getting a plus 9 unit week.
That's very true. I was very shocked. Well, not shocked. I mean, I did feel confident about what I put on my board this week, but I've said that before. I felt like the Whittaker by decision one was kind of a lock. Truthfully, if I had a lock, that would have been the one.
Yeah.
Nathaniel Wood by decision was the one I thought was the riskiest. That's why I put only 3/4 of a unit on it. But it ended up, I mean, really, the one that was the scariest was the Ciryl Kopylov under 2.5 rounds.
Yeah.
That one got kind of lucky with Kopylov, the Russian Chase Hooper, as they're calling him.
Yes.
He landed a really wicked 5-piece combo out of nowhere to put Ciryl down. That Khalid Taha fight, man, I got a stat for you. So going into that fight, Khalid Taha had only been finished one time in his entire career, not UFC, just entire MMA career, and that was via submission. So that was the first time he had ever been finished via strikes. So that's what happens sometimes, people. I mean, Khalid Taha, I think he's a better fighter than his record shows, but we may never get the chance to find out because that's like 1-3 or 1-4 now for him in his UFC career. But, by all means, this is the kind of week we've needed. And,
yes.
Honestly, we just need one more, and then we're right back above the green. We're above that line. So.
Hey, it's the final 4 months of the year. We're coming for it. Let's go.
Yeah, exactly. Let's move on to closing statements, Dominic. This is the point of the show where me and Dominic can talk about anything and everything, MMA related or not. So, Dominic, you got anything for closing statements on this Monday edition?
I guess I'll just take it back to the beginning when we started talking about UFC Paris. What is everyone's kind of favorite bread item? So I guess I'll break it down here. We've got some biscuits. We've got croissants. We've got rolls. Although I feel like 2 of the 3 really cater more toward breakfast than anything. But I'll give you guys that trio there. If I had to pick, I'm not picking a croissant, by the way, just because I brought it out for UFC Paris. All right. But I'm going to go... Well, I guess it's my question. If it's a Hawaiian roll, that's pretty top tier. But I think all in all, because you're not always getting Hawaiian rolls, I'm going to go with the biscuit. I think it's the most... No, the roll's more versatile, but the biscuit satisfies me a little bit more than the other 2. What do you got?
Well,
It's
I
a
can't
tough
really...
one.
I can't do what I've done the last 2 times you've...
Well, good. I needed one of those.
Yeah, I can't throw you in prison for talking about biscuits and rolls. So you took the easy way out this week, I guess. But I'm a big Hawaiian roll guy.
Oh, man.
Hawaiian rolls, give me that shit on anything. I can make little sandwiches with them.
Yes.
You just put a little butter on them. You don't even have to put butter on them. They're already just very good. Right
Gobble it down.
Back.
Yeah.
Perfect Thanksgiving, what do you call it, bread side, it's just,
right.
It's the best bread item that there is, bread type item, I don't know.
Yeah.
People will come after us. They're going to say, oh, is there blood coming out of the Hawaiian roll? Well, shut the fuck up, all right? Maybe there is. All right? Maybe there is blood coming out of it. Maybe I'm going to get my Hawaiian roll medium rare, motherfucker.
Off the rails.
Yeah,
Bring
totally.
it back.
Yeah, I'm totally not mad at it.
Bring it back. Finish us out. Are you talking about toes?
No, I'm not talking about toes.
Okay.
What made you think that?
Your whole toe statement that I missed earlier. I didn't know if you were going to bring it back.
You thought I was going to double down on toes on an episode?
Listen, dude.
Have I ever singled down on toes?
It's the weekend. We're feeling a bit frisky right now. Football's back. I didn't know what you were getting into.
Dominic, I'm not a toe guy. Are you a toe guy?
No, I don't like feet at all. I don't even like looking at my own feet, Noah. We're on the same page here. Bring it back.
I've never singled down on toes.
All right. I was just making sure.
I'm I'm not trying to get angry here, but
I know. I'm trying to.
I feel like you're accusing me of being a toe guy. And
No. I was just, you slipped it in there earlier, really quick, so quick I didn't notice it. I was just making sure you weren't, getting into anything.
All right. Well, you kind of threw me off what I was going to talk about. Not sure where the fuck that came from, but let's talk about water.
Oh, here we go. This is what he's been waiting for.
This one's been in the bank for. I've been waiting for a slow closing statement week to use this one. Oh my goodness!
Kind of cocked that one up.
Yeah, because I was like, should I press mute? And I was too slow.
It just yeah.
So sorry for that, headphone users. But let's talk about water, which I probably need some of. That's probably why I'm hacking like that. Growing up. Now I'm starting mine like Dominic does. When I was a kid, I did it like this, and then I became a fucking psychopath and did it like this. No, so everybody always talks about like everybody always talks about like the water that just sucks, right?
Yeah.
Like, what is it? Dasani.
Dasani's the one that. Yeah.
Dasani, Aquafina. Those are the two that usually get a lot of the shit.
Yeah.
And I want to say rightfully so, because I remember a specific experience with Dasani. Pee-wee football, I'm talking like 5th grade type deal. I used to, we all used to have those big water jugs you take to practice, right?
Oh, yeah.
Well, I had divorced parents. I spent half the days at one, half at the other, so stuff was bound to go kind of get forgotten at one place or another. So one day it's practice time. I don't have my water jug, okay? So for some reason, I grab a bottle of Dasani water out of the fridge and think that that's going to be my water for today. And I just remember vividly remember taking a water break at practice, and I took like a swig of that Dasani, and I was like, well, that didn't work at all.
Yeah.
I'm like, not only am I still burning up, but I'm still thirsty. Like, what the hell was that? Yeah. It like dissolved in my mouth. It's like
you didn't even take a drink of nothing. You're muted. You just muted for a second. Sorry. You're here.
I'm muted.
You went silent and we're still moving. You're back. Continue on. We're off the rails.
Yeah. So I take a drink of this Dasani, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, that didn't work at all.
No.
Not only am I still hot, but I'm still thirsty.
Yeah.
Like, it was almost like the Dasani rewound itself out of my mouth, like a VHS tape or something.
Yeah.
So I've always remembered that and been like, okay, Dasani, you a hoe, right? Like, I don't fuck with Dasani.
Yeah.
But then now that I've been trying to, get myself in better shape, lose a little weight, been drinking a ton of water, along with the medication I'm on, I gotta drink water. I'm just always thirsty. I'm just a big water guy now.
Yeah.
And I gotta go, I'm at the mercy of what's at the store, whether it's Dollar General or CVS or Walgreens, which Walgreens is the one that's right by my house, or apartment. Sometimes Ice Mountain, the go-to. If Ice Mountain's there, I get it. Or if I'm grocery shopping at like Kroger brand water, the way to go. But unfortunately, sometimes I go to those places when I'm not grocery shopping. No Ice Mountain, Aquafina, or Dasani.
Ooh.
But I get it, and I don't have a problem with it. Like, it goes down all the same.
Yeah.
So outside of that one vivid experience, if I'm being honest, people, when I drink it like on a daily basis, I really don't notice a difference.
Yeah.
So I want to know do people really notice a difference when they're drinking their water, if it's a tap water versus like a smart water or Dasani or Aquafina? Like, do you really notice, or are you just kind of like, has your mind just been told over and over again that something is bad, so you just associate it with being bad. But I've had it both ways. Like, I feel like now it's more of an association, but as a kid, I remember that experience being like, the Dasani just dissolved in my mouth before I even drank it. Like, what the hell just happened? So let me know, water, what's the best water to drink that is easy, that you can get like 24 packs of? Don't be giving me this like fucking Glacier, the stuff that comes from like a polar bear's ball sack or something. Like, don't be giving me that stuff, because I need something I can buy in bulk,
Yeah.
All right. I'm Noah Baker. That's Dominic Salee. We're the Below Average Joes, and we'll be back on Thursday.